You know, it's strange. Every day we sit here, I have to, before we start, pause and check with Andy first what day it is. Friday.
Friday.
Holy day in our part of the world. Day off, prayer day. That's why it's so quiet. And the date.
10th.
10th of April.
10th of April. All day.
Okay. Well, it's nice to be back with you, and very pleased that you're able to join us once again here on beIN Sports at the regular times, and of course for the rest of the world on YouTube. Occasionally I point out, and I don't think I have often enough this week, that in the making of this programme, no Qatari regulations regarding COVID-19 have been in any way compromised, and we continue to work at a safe social distance. And if that message is the only message and the only thing you take from this programme, then so be it. But please be careful. So to start where we ended yesterday, on that basis, why are they doing road reports on the radio in England when people are supposed to be at home, Andy?
Why are they doing weather reports? I mean, if you were sitting at home and there's lots of people living in apartments, Richard, in the UK, all over the world, with only windows, no balconies, can't get outside, and yet they're switching on their TVs in the UK and the guy's going, it's going to be a beautiful day today, 25 degrees, sun will be shining on Easter Friday and Easter Saturday and Easter Sunday. Well, thank you very much for that.
We're fortunate that we live in a part of the world where the weather is beautiful 8 months of the year, a little overly warm perhaps through the summer, but
it's getting there.
It is proof, I think, that COVID-19 can survive in warm weather.
Yeah.
Anyway, to start with an apology. I feel as though I'm taunting you.
Really?
Dressed in red.
Well, I get used to it with you, because you are a closet red after all.
But yes, but which red?
I won't tell them that.
You wouldn't wear red, would you? You wouldn't buy a red car?
Oh, no. Oh, well, you got something in?
No, absolutely not.
Because I'm trying to think back if I've ever had a red car. No, definitely not.
And you wouldn't wear green?
Not deliberately. Not by choice.
No, I've nothing. It's just a conversation piece.
Oh, right,
Because I've always been fascinated down the years. Occasionally in your household, when your mum was able to afford a treat, it would be a packet of penguins.
Yes.
But
the green one would never get eaten. No, and what was even worse? No, I know. Listen, it's not something to be proud of and all this, but it's just the way we grew up then. And one of my best friends, Eddie, his dad was a real Rangers man. I mean, right to the core. And it was funny at Christmas when his mum used to put up the decorations. If she ever put up a green balloon somewhere about there in those decorations, the father would come in from work and he'd look around, have his dinner, and he'd look up and see a couple of green balloons and he'd go, and he'd burst them.
And I'm certain the same is the case in Celtic households.
Oh yeah, listen, they wouldn't have blue balloons. No, Celtic fans back in those days would not have blue balloons, Richard.
I do remember going to Ibrox when we started at Sky, and we took the portable studio with us, and it was always green.
Yeah.
And it was green when we erected one at Ibrox, and got the advice that perhaps it was not good to.
The outside was green.
We had to paint it blue overnight.
Yes.
That was my first introduction to how the divide works.
You were a bit scared there. It would be a bit scary for you, that.
Just a touch.
Yeah, that first Old Firm derby that you witnessed at Ibrox.
The only man to walk into the Horseshoe Bar in Glasgow and order a spritzer.
Yes. Yeah. Embarrassing.
Did you enjoy talking with Gordon? I've had
yes, I did.
Mixed reception. Some were of the opinion that quotes, we let him off the hook. We didn't beat him up. My view on that is, well, in general, and my view on that has always been that we work in a communications business. We are seeking information to share for the most part, and I don't see the point in cornering people when it's education, information that you're looking for. I always quote the example of Jeremy Paxman beating Michael Howard up, asking the same question 19 times, and he got rave reviews for his stickability and forthright interviewing technique, but he never got an answer. Now, in conversation with, as we were yesterday with Gordon, we've all got a divided view on players' wages and furlough and deferring. We've all got a place from which we're coming with a view on that. We needed information from Gordon, and I'm very grateful to him for joining us. I've known him for a long time, and I've liked him for a great deal of time as well. And it was a lovely way to leave it with a story from
he's playing these days
with jousting with Cloughie. But no, I enjoyed it. I think we got a lot from it, and there was a lot of good information that came our way. So much appreciated.
Listen, there's no one in any job in the world, Richard, who's got everything right. But Gordon Taylor has done a lot for professional footballers over the years. He doesn't get everything right. You can't get everything right. It's impossible to get everything right. And, you know, Gordon may sit down and reflect on this and years to come and think, I might have done that a little different. He might not. But he might think, I could have done a little bit different. But that doesn't make him any different from anybody else in a position of authority. The Prime Minister, going through what he's going through in the UK right now, will definitely look back and think, I wish I'd have done things differently. You know, that's the nature of the job that bosses, the top bosses, that's the nature of the job that they're in.
Two things we referenced yesterday I want to go back to. Match fixing, it's something that Keys and Gray have talked about often down the years. It's prevalent, Andy.
Still?
Absolutely, even though we like to think that is not the case. But how can you have match fixing during this period of time, during a COVID-19 crisis? But it's happening. A ghost tournament compromising of football matches, fixed as well, this ghost tournament, turned up on the internet. From Ukraine, this tournament was allegedly taking place. It's impossible that someone was playing because we're under quarantine, said Francesco Branca, ethics chief at the Ukrainian Association of Football. But nevertheless, online, they were trying to persuade.
So people were betting online and winning and losing money?
Yes.
On a game that never took place?
On a tournament that never took place. Another ghost tournament.
Yeah.
Law changes for next year, and it's the case that, I still don't think this will end the debate, but let me just check.
Check that.
Here, down is handball. This isn't.
No, that never was.
Nor is this.
That was.
So in effect, that was, unless you're Dele Alli, who got away with it twice this season.
He did.
But this now isn't.
So how far down do they go?
Just roughly the bottom of the...
So we don't know. So we don't know.
I still think it'll be open to debate and there'll be some confusion about it.
I tell you what we should do. We should make every player wear short sleeve shirts and say, below the line of the cuff here, below this.
But they're not going to wear short sleeve shirts because you have your Under Armour these days, don't you? Everybody wears the long Under Armour as well. Yeah, so that's an impossible
It's a fair point.
Scenario.
Well, so it'll be just as much confusion about handball as it was last year.
I think so.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, when you say last year, when we resumed.
Yes, last season.
Manchester United owe 169 million on the likes of Harry Maguire and Bruno Fernandes. They are top of a list that includes everybody, Andy. Manchester United, City 83.7, Spurs 83.4 on this list. Next in line, Bournemouth, Fulham, West Ham, Southampton, Arsenal.
So money owed. This is money owed.
This is money owed.
Outstanding to other clubs.
Yes, to each other. There's only three at the bottom. Chelsea are in the black. Huddersfield, who went down last year, are owed money, and Newcastle United.
Well, you know why Chelsea are in the black? They've had a transfer ban for the last year.
Well, that's right.
That's why they're in the black.
Now, this is something I think will fascinate you because you're not a big fan of the social media, but it's not going away anytime. It's not going away, full stop.
Yeah, it's not.
Cristiano Ronaldo will become the first billionaire footballer. Billionaire. And one of the reasons why that is the case is in his first year at Juventus, they say his wage was 30 million. His social media presence raised 39 million
for
himself.
Wow.
Instagram posts.
So
Instagram posts. So he's generating more money off the pitch. And this is what I said to you the other day about, we had a conversation when we'd finished. Loyalties. Yes, I understand that there are still club loyalties, but I think there's a generation of football fan growing up that will attach themselves to individuals.
I agree with you, and I don't disagree with that. But the first thing is, I would say about Cristiano wouldn't have £39 million earnings
annually
if he wasn't a footballer. That's the first thing we should say. He wouldn't have it if he wasn't an exceptionally good footballer. He wouldn't have it if he wasn't arguably the best footballer in the world for the last 10 years. So it's football that's made him that. It's his ability to be an unbelievable footballer that's made that for him.
Granted.
Right? What I'm saying, what we've argued about, and Paul Pogba's an example. You say Paul Pogba like, now, are fans going to take to Pogba the way they take to Ronaldo? No, they're not.
Well, I think initially, because we had that statistic that he'd paid the money back, the fee in 3 months with social media.
But what I'm saying, Richard, if he never kicks another ball,
no one,
in earnest,
in his case, no one's going to care.
Do you think he's going to earn those kind of money?
No.
Do you think he's going to earn millions and millions? No, he's not.
No.
Still football that give them that, and it still means that if you want to be high in the social media, Jesse Lingard's a big social media advocate. He's all over the place now. I'm sorry, but Jesse's had one of those seasons. No, but he's had one of those seasons where he would much rather, I hope he would much rather be playing better football than having another million followers.
Very much so, and I think when he gets to Goodison at the start of next season, I think he'll prove that, Andy. Now, I only mention this because Matt Hancock poked his nose into football's business at the same time as MPs are in general calling for pay cuts for footballers. It turns out that UK MPs are in for a £10,000 stay-at-home expenses lift to buy laptops and the various other pieces of technical equipment.
No, come on. Hold on a minute. £10,000.
I'm only reporting the facts here, so don't have a go at me.
To stay at home. Expenses.
Yes.
Right. Now let me tell you, we've all had to stay at home in the last month or so. Have you been out of expense in any way? I mean, have you spent more money? It's difficult for you because you don't spend money anyway,
I brought this up.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, you don't spend nearly as much money sitting at home, Richard, on a daily basis. So the expenses are for what? Well, and if he's an MP in the modern world, he has a laptop. He has everything at home.
Well, that's the counter argument, and that's why I think this scheme, should they pursue this, is going to get a lot of criticism, more than it has already to date. But it's for laptops and printers and various other.
They should have that.
Of course they should.
Most of them work from home anyway.
10,000. Civil war in the Championship because those football clubs still cannot come to an agreement with Gordon, the PFA.
What's going to happen?
Or even themselves.
What's your gut feeling about the Championship? Forget the Premier League for now, because we have to look at the Premier League as a different entity, and it comes under different rules to what the Championship clubs are. But what's your gut feeling about that?
Well, my feeling is that Rick Parry...
Because your team are in there.
No, we're in League One.
But what I'm saying, well, I'm talking about Football
EFL.
League teams.
Yes. Yeah, no, the EFL have been told, get ready to report back mid-June, and mid-May, and we're going to start playing football by June. And Parry's letter yesterday went so far as to suggest to clubs that they put players on holiday now so that they can work them through the remaining period of the season and almost straight away beyond into a new season.
On holiday now?
Yeah.
Do the players in the Football League get holiday then? They actually...
Well, they would get holiday from the end of one season to another, wouldn't they? Yeah.
But it's not a designated holiday. Is it in their contract?
I didn't believe that to be the case. No,
I didn't.
But that's.
What about? Let me ask you about your Coventry while we're on about the EFL. I mean, I've read a lot today about there's a lot of EFL clubs really in trouble. Will have trouble paying wages at the end of this month, the end of April. They will have a real trouble paying wages, and if it goes on much longer, going to the wall. Can you see it in your head that your club Coventry could be in that position?
Very much so, very much so. But that has been the case. The only sympathy I have for the owners, Caesar, is that the football club has nothing by way of an asset. Nothing. The training ground is mortgaged. The stadium is not theirs. Match day revenue is not going to cover the costs in any way. They've been looking to try to find a formula with Wasps whereby they could share the ownership. Were they more amiable to conversations and understanding of the other side argument rather than just theirs? That might happen. But to be playing in Birmingham as we are at the moment in front of 6,000 and we're top of the league, Andy, and after 20 years of misery,
you could be going out of business.
We could be going out of business.
What about Bolton? Where are they? Well, I mean, I'll ask you about Bolton because they were in real trouble during this season. That looked at one time as if they were going to do a bury and fold. Now, surely they can't be in a huge financial, wonderful strength.
I think it's interesting you mention them because I think going forward you're going to find that the promises that were made by the consortium that took over have not necessarily been delivered to date, and there may be another Charlton Athletic in the offing there. So keep your eyes on Bolton. But look, we discussed it earlier in the series whether there are too many professional football clubs. Yes, there are.
Yes, there are.
But who would decide where we could lose some? Yeah. Would be a very brave man. The FA Council has formally voided the 2019-20 season for sections of the non-league women's and grassroots football. So the council has now ratified what they were discussing.
Right. Is that the National League? No.
That's not
below
yet.
The National League.
That's not yet below the National League.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, I've thoroughly enjoyed the Sunderland documentary. Sunderland.
I'm halfway through it.
And I mention that because Stuart Donald, the owner, the successor to Ellis Short, is it seems in a little bit of trouble as well on this subject, and discussing once again about selling Sunderland Football Club, who themselves have had a very rough ride these last 20 years or so.
I was reading one of your pals, one guy you know quite well today, in regards to his club being in trouble, which surprised me a little, Brighton, who always struck me as a wonderfully run club, work within their means, don't take chances. And is it Paul Barber?
Paul Barber, the chief exec,
who you know very, very well. I hear him today saying, "You got to take a cut, boys, or else we could be going out of business."
Well, again,
now, football fans must be reading that, Rich, and thinking, "How is that the case? 4 weeks in, 4 weeks or something like that, into not playing football, you can be saying that." You can't fund your wages.
I find it staggering. It's the back page of the Daily Mirror today. You're saving the NHS, says Barber. Now save us. Well, it's not the player's responsibility to be saving the football club. Referring back to the conversation we had with Gordon, I understand that there is an argument that if there's no football club, then there are no players. So again, there's a compromise required there. But I repeat what I said earlier, Andy, that in any other business model, for the gross figures to have poured through in the manner they have the last decade, and for football now to find itself within 4 to 6 weeks of this enforced break,
it's not even that long,
on the precipice of bankruptcy, it's staggering that should be the case.
Now, and it's funny because we spent last week basically saying, football has been accused of not caring and not helping the NHS. So they've kind of dealt with that with their foundation that they've set up, the players, and said, we're going to do this and this is what we're going to do. So then, at the beginning of next week, these same players now are going to be faced with pressure and demand from the clubs that they're with to take not another cut, either a deferral or a cut. Right?
Yes.
To save them. I mean, they must wake up in the morning and think, well, who's going to be next?
Well, Matt Dickinson, chief sports writer, in the Times today, the headline of his piece, and it's a very good piece. Prudent, patient clubs in future? ? I wouldn't bet on it.
No, not me.
Well, that's the whole point. That are we at the stage where we have to reset? Are we at the point where the ludicrous amounts of money that clubs spend on agents for negotiating fees for players who probably would walk to the particular club that they're talking to? Do we need to continue to fund their lavish lifestyle?
No.
And by the way, what's in the Premier League's bank account right now?
Sorry. So, you got me there. So, the Premier League would have a bank account that takes what? TV money, TV revenue.
Yes.
And then it distributes that from that account to the clubs. I would think, doesn't it take in, let's just say, what was the last deal? 3.6 billion worldwide-ish. Doesn't that 3.6 billion cover the 3-year deal to all the clubs now?
I could be wildly wrong here, but I guess there's about $1 billion sat in a bank account somewhere. Could be wrong. I just asked the question. If anyone knows the answer, do please get in touch.
By the way, that is a fair question.
Maybe the Premier League, Richard Masters.
Maybe he should do. I mean, this is a funny one because we spoke to Gordon Taylor yesterday, who gets bombarded with what have the PFA got, how much money is in the PFA account. PFA should be doing that with this money, PFA should be donating that to this money. And you might have a point there. The Premier League, if it has £1 billion or £500 million swilling around in a bank account, doesn't that have a responsibility to protect its business?
It's got enough to be talking about advancing payments that are due or were due down the line in this season. So there's a few quid there, Andy. Yeah. European leagues are facing a 4.5 billion transfer chain crisis. 4.5 billion. As the FA talk about Wembley Stadium debt having to be deferred. There we go. Clubs get advance on prize money to ease cash flow problems. So there is money there. But how much? I'd like to know.
I'd like to know. That'd be good. It's a good question.
And the EFL, just to refer back to that, Andy, 113 games in 56 days if they start at June. That's what's going to be required.
Yeah, see, I've said that from day one, Richard. I think that's their desire, their want would be, okay, Europe have helped, Shefferin's helped by the Euros being cancelled. That gives them a window. All leagues throughout Europe gives all leagues in Europe a window between the middle of June and the middle of July to complete their season, if at all possible, and give them a break before they come back in August. That would be their ideal proposition. But the trouble with that plan is that, as we know on a daily basis, every country is at a different stage of its COVID-19 recovery. And, Italy and Spain now are probably further down the line of restarting in a strange way, because they've had it for longer and they're coping with it better, and the figures are coming down on a daily basis in those two countries, which is great to see, by the way. Germany seem to have had a lid on it better than most. Clubs are back training. Small groups are back training in Germany. But in the UK, are you kidding? No chance.
Rui Pinto, there's a name that we've discussed often on Keys and Gray, going back over 3 or 4 years. Rui Pinto, the Portuguese whistleblower, footy leaks.
Is he in jail still?
He was in jail. News from The Guardian today that he's been released from jail and put under house arrest.
Okay.
Now, if you don't know Rui Pinto, he's the man that gave us all the information that subsequently, and this is a very, what's the correct word I'm looking for here? A rough guide to what he's done. UEFA subsequently banned Manchester City from Europe for 2 years as a result of information that he told us.
Leaked.
City's argument, of course, is that you shouldn't be able to go to court and be convicted on stolen information. The Portuguese weren't happy when he started telling us stories, or telling the world stories about Benfica and Porto, and that's why he got into trouble there. But I think he's to be honest, I think he's a hero.
Well.
But not everybody's going to agree with that. And to end, a really good news story out of Miami, where Christian Vieri,
we love Christian,
and his wife Costanza have become parents for a second time.
Oh, lovely.
So congratulations.
Congratulations, big man.
To Christian Vieri.
Yeah, top boy.
Who spends his life these days.
And what a good player. Top man.
Oh, what a good player.
Like Christian.
What a good player.
We had a lovely month with him, didn't we, when we did the Copa America in Miami with Christian.
His life was
he looked after us. He was great.
Different phase in those days.
Yeah, he's great. Great lad. Loved him.
Happily married now.
Loved
him. And settled down. So congratulations to Christian Vieri. And so another week comes to an end with little or no sign of us getting back to some kind of normality, which I think we're all desperate to do now.
The thing about it is, do we actually believe that the word you used there, getting back to some sort of normality? I often wonder, Richard, now, will what we get back to be anything like what we left? Will it be a fraction of what we left? Will it be 80% of what we left? Surely the world will change to some extent.
I'd like to think football will have learned, although what Gordon said yesterday resonated with me when he talked about surviving 2 world wars, and the game got itself back together pretty quickly. Patience, he said. If we have to wait all year, then he believes we should finish. My view, as you know, is slightly different. I still think there is a case for arguing for reset and getting going again roughly at the same time. Now, I know that's going to adversely affect an awful lot of people, but as Sadio Mane said yesterday, and I was pleased to see that, look, if we have to wipe the season away, so we'll win it next year. That was, I love that.
I like that too.
I love that.
Aye.
And I know there are a lot of clubs that won't feel the same way, and mine would be one, sitting on the brink of promotion back to the Championship. But I also, how do we feel when we restart? Because we were edging towards crowning a magnificent season for Liverpool, and in the time that's lapsed, I feel as though it's gone a bit flat.
Well, it has gone flat.
I don't know how
of course it's gone flat.
I'll feel going back to watch. Listen, if you told me football's starting again tomorrow, I would be absolutely delighted.
Yes.
But there are many reasons why obviously that's not going to be the case. But you know, how are we going to feel when we pick up on a season that actually an awful lot of us have almost forgotten about now?
I know. It's almost strange to think. I think the last game we saw on beIN Sports here was Everton getting thumped to Chelsea, was it?
Yes, it was.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think that was the last game we did. Everton get thumped 4, was it?
But Jesse Lingard
trouble remembering.
will make a difference when he starts.
Yeah, we'll see about that. I just wanted to say about Sadio Mane. It was a story that jumped out to me today, a football story that I went to mention to you. Sadio Mane, I read, which staggered me. Now, the best team in Europe in the last 2 seasons has been who?
Liverpool.
Right. Final, 2 back-to-back finals.
Yep.
Tottenham were in a final, so 2 Premier League teams in one final. Liverpool won it the following year. Oh, no, what? Liverpool won it against Tottenham, lost against Real Madrid. So they've been in 2 finals. And yet I read today somebody, I don't know whether it's his agent, we mentioned that 5-letter word that drives fear into everybody in football, saying that Sadio Mane might feel that to win the Ballon d'Or, he has to leave Liverpool. Run that past me.
Yeah, it's a very good point in fairness, but
now, come on, there was a time when great players in the Premier League, you felt if you want to be the best, like Ronaldo, went to Real Madrid, did what he did. But, come on, are you telling me that Real Madrid and Barcelona are streaks ahead of the Premier League clubs now? No, they're not.
Well, in terms of reputation, probably still, and that's why Eden Hazard wanted to play for Real Madrid. Michael Owens won it playing for Liverpool.
Eden Hazard had been 10 years at Chelsea. Come on, he was there for great time.
Won the Champions League during that period of time, but didn't ever get recognition that probably he felt he should have had. I still think there is something special, very special, about playing for either of those two clubs.
But why should that guarantee you the Ballon d'Or? Come on.
I agree. Listen, Virgil van Dijk was what, second last year?
Yeah.
And if he's ever to win it, that was the year.
That was last year.
Yeah, he's not going to. No, I understand what you're saying.
That would put a chill up you if you're a Liverpool fan thinking, what?
Yeah. Well, I've told you, I think Mo Salah is not for the long term at Liverpool. I think he will find his way to either Paris or Madrid in the next 12
Do you think
months.
still that the powers that be then, we often talked about the owners, and is it Fenwick?
Yeah,
who own
Fenway
Liverpool?
Sports.
Fenway Sports, who own Liverpool.
Fenwick is a store last time I looked.
Ah, right, okay then. Well, it's been a long time, as you say.
And a former England defender.
Terry Fenwick. Played against him many times. He kicked me a lot as well, Terry Fenwick, he did. And what was saying, do you think that these people now, with the situation it is now, say somebody comes in at when we get started and Salah's a little unsettled or whatever he might be, and the money comes in like it did for Coutinho, they snap it up and take him and get rid?
I think, other than putting backroom staff on furlough, Liverpool have made some very good decisions in recent years, and that for me was one of their better ones. Not everybody agreed at the time, but for the money, wow. And I think actually the money took them to the level that they were looking to try to get to, and it was a fantastic piece of business. Would they do it again? Short answer, yes, in my view.
Only with Klopp's permission?
Yes.
What if Klopp says no? He's not going anywhere.
I think Klopp would probably.
He must behave so, but he must have as much power as Shankly had.
Well, I think it's a conversation piece that we should return to when we next return to the balcony.
Have we run out of time again?
We'll run out of time. Would you believe that? Join us again in the continuing series of Keys and Gray Unplugged. Special guests generally on a Tuesday and Thursday, and time for Andy and I to chew the cud Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But we air at the same time that you found this programme on beIN Sports all over the world, and it's also available, of course, for international viewers on YouTube. Thank you for your company. Any thoughts, get in touch.
Stay at home.